Greetings all. Some time back, I had done a bit about food shortages, scarcity due to war and weather, climate change, awful weather, wars and rumors of wars, and we're bound to experience shortages of food because of this. Now, again, I'm not really predicting that folks here in the United States are going to start starving or anything on that order, but we are going to start paying more. Yeah, we're going to start paying more. Since we got the money, we can afford to buy it, and we will probably buy it. But, I get, this is no news to anybody, I'm sure. If you've been buying eggs lately, you know that the prices of things have just gone crazy between COVID, shortage of labor, weather, inflation, war. It's really a mixed up thing. But food has gotten pretty expensive. I've noticed a lot of it. Some of it's a shock to me. Ellen tends to do most of the grocery shopping, so I spend my time here on the farm planting stuff, harvesting stuff, and cutting up watermelons more than I do trucking around the markets. But she'll bring me prices, and we'll talk about things from time to time. And that's what inspired me to do the last video about food shortages. This one, though, oh man. Now, I don't use much sugar straight up as an added ingredient. I have a few sweet things on earth that I enjoy, like maple syrup. And you will never catch me eating a pancake without it. But I don't spend much time eating sugary products. I don't make a lot of sugary products. I know on the channel I have people all the time saying, "Oh, those would make great jelly," or "they make good jam," and I'll just usually always say, "Hey man, I don't eat that stuff," which is true. Okay, I just don't. Things that have added sugar, occasionally you can find me in a tub of Ben and Jerry's. Yes, on occasion you can find me eating a Snickers bar. Yes, it happens. I like sweet stuff like any other human being, but I don't do too much of it. Jam and jelly, definitely not. And so using granulated table sugar is something in our house that's a little foreign. We do have organic, natural, unprocessed sugar in granules around here, big chunks, and use it in recipes when it's called for. But Ellen won't even let me throw sugar in the teriyaki sauce anymore. She's so cautious about her blood sugar levels, So we don't go for it much. Well, she was out taking a walk this morning down in Keough at the park with a friend of hers. They do this on occasion. Well, Ellen had given the lady, the residue from processing pineapples. She's been drying pineapples, and so she gave her a whole bunch of odds and ends from the pineapple, and the lady was just going to make jam or jelly out of it. And pineapple preserves, I imagine, most likely, because there's chunks, And anyway, she needed sugar to do this. So they both wandered into Foodland, one of our local food stores, and she picked up a bag of house brand sugar, and it was going to use it for making this preserve. Well, I come home and she says, "Oh, Bill, I couldn't believe it. My friend bought a bag of sugar, and it cost her $17 and I don't know, 95 cents, nearly $18. Okay, and I went, "What? Really?" The 10-pound bag of sugar, which, in my ancient primitive brain, who still remembers a 5-cent Snickers bar? I don't know, what are they now? They're $1.50 or something insane. But I do remember a 5-cent chocolate bar. Anyway, in my brain, I'm thinking, man, to pay more than $1 a pound for sugar, that's nuts. So, as we were talking about this, I said, well, I got to check this out, because we live, in Hawaii, and food prices over here can be really expensive? Depends on what it is. If it's papaya or if it's ahi tuna, it's probably pretty reasonable. Or a banana, but a bag of sugar, it could be up there. Well, did I get a shock? I just used Amazon as a comparison. I typed in 10-pound sugar, and oh man, the first item that came up, which was not even a Prime directly on Amazon, was $29. $29 for a 10-pound bag of sugar. So I scroll down the page hoping for better news, and I find that Amazon Prime with free shipping does have 2 bags of C&H, that's, major sugar brand here. They're 4-pounders for $25, no shipping. So here we got 8 pounds of sugar on Amazon at $25 without the shipping. Well, Ellen's buddy just bought 10 pounds of sugar over here for $18, a little under $18. Usually, Hawaii is the high price leader. Well, in this case, I'm going to assume that because things go back and forth here on boats and in cargo containers, there are lags. Yeah, we see lags and stuff. Price of gas goes up in California insanely, but it doesn't rise much here right away because we're still pumping the old tanks, And I think the same thing here is the last time around they priced the sugar up. It's still on the shelf over here, and they haven't increased it for the new load that's coming in. So I'm going, man, well, sugar's, not food. All right. So, but nevertheless, it's an agricultural crop. It's something we grow, and so it is definitely part of agriculture, and it's part of a lot of food, part of too much food, in fact. But I had to look into it and say, okay, what is the reason? Why did this happen? And like I said, I remember a 5-cent Snickers bar. I could afford to buy them when I was a boy. I can't afford to buy them as a man anymore. So, well, number one reason, China increased their consumption. I don't know. Is it more about the industrialization of China or something? I have no idea. Yeah, as we head towards an industrialized society with a middle class, what do? We eat sugar, right? Yeah, it's a symptom. It's a symptom. Anyway, China has increased its consumption. Oh, maybe they're just all blue from COVID long haul and they're sitting around sucking on sweet stuff, trying to feel better. I don't know. But then the rest of the reason was that in many of the sugar-producing nations, the weather conditions have been such that there have been crop failures. Yeah. And so that fits right into what I've been saying. Now, most of us, in our diet at least, can live without this added sugar. Yeah, So it's really not that important directly to human health. On the other hand, sugar is used in fermentation. And so if you like alcohol, this could be another problem. Depends. I don't know if barley malt is becoming scarce or whatnot, but well, like I say, though, sugar, it's not a food. Sugar in our brain and our body acts almost more like a drug than it does like a food. It does pick up a certain amount of energy, but that energy is up, down, very drug-like. But the main reason I say that is because we're genetically evolved to not eat the same thing day after day after day after day. If we try to do that, say it's bananas, right? You're going to eat bananas constantly. You get to hit a point where you just can't stand them anymore. The body will reject them after a while. The mind does this. It's a safety valve. It was a long time ago when I lived in a cave somewhere, and I had a woolly mammoth that I speared. After a few weeks, it started getting kind of gamey, and if I kept eating it, there's a pretty good chance I was going to die like the mammoth. So our bodies learned to only eat the same thing for so long before it stops. But in the case of sugar, there's no off valve. Yeah, sugar consumption is, well, comparable almost to like opiate addiction or something on that order. There is no shut-off valve. There's no end. You can actually become completely addicted to this stuff because it does create, an elevation. So there's this physical reaction, and there's no stop valve. Very much like a drug, so sugar is more of a drug than a food. I generally try to stay away from it. There are some drugs we have out there that are quite valuable. I use aspirin every day, thank you. But sugar isn't one of them. Anyway, it's starting. We're looking at it. I'm sure if I started to do more research, I'd come up with more and more and more of this. I just had to admit that the sugar stunned me this morning. I was unaware because I don't use it. All right. And apparently we don't use it fast enough over here either because we're behind the world price. Anybody wants to get their sugar cheap, clean the shelf at Foodland, I'm telling you, because it's another $10 more on Amazon for the same unit. Hang loose, folks. Aloha.